Just real quick for duplication before I go back into supports. I typically do rectangular duplicate. In this case, I'm going to fit about 5 in X and only 1 in this orientation in Y. Spacing between parts, if it's a short part, a rigid part, and like a stable structure, you can get away with as low as 2 or 3 millimeters. Flexible parts, really tall parts, flexible structures, you want to go a little higher. But in general, like as wide as you can, I suppose makes the most sense. You can control V if you're moving things around. But it looks like we can fit about 8 of these guys. So there's my build. There are 2 parts that will print pretty well flat on the build head. Step 1, when you import your parts, look at them and you have to consider orientation. If there's a big flat surface or a part that has some kind of flat surface, you can park it directly on the build head. So in this case, the surface that's currently oriented with the build head is what I'll put there. So I'm going to move my parts to the center of the build platform. And in this case, I have 2 bodies that are 1 part. And I think I can put those closer together so I can pack more in. So I'm going to modify, right-click, modify, split shells into parts, and remove old parts. Now I have these guys I can move around on their own. So when you click the little box up here on whatever axis or face you want to look from, it'll zoom you there automatically. So I'm going to move my parts to the bottom corner, and I'm going to move this guy about that far away. And it looks like I can get 2 in here. So Control C, Control V, drag that guy to there. Control C, Control V, and bring that back there. And then, so I could do this. It looks like 2 can't fit there. So I'm going to undo, 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 undo. Go back until I just have those 2 parts. So I'm going to think about how I can pack these most tightly. But let's start just by duplicating this 3 times. You can either Control C, Control V, and drag things over, or you can use this duplicate feature up here, which is pretty convenient. So click duplicate rectangular. Now you're making a rectangular array of these parts. So how many copies do you want in X? How many copies do you want in Y and Z? In this case, I'm going to do 3 copies in X, only 1 in Y. And I'll make them 4 millimeters apart, which is a little more than that. It's probably 3.5. So there you go. I'm going to select all and look at my length and width over here. You see it's 202, which is more than the 192 build volume. So I'm going to take away that. I could just delete 1 set, but let's just do this for now. I'm going to move these to the center of the platform. And this would print totally fine. I do think I could fit a couple more in, and I'd like to try. In this case, these are 2 halves, 2 apart. So having an odd number really doesn't make sense. But for the sake of this exercise, we can leave it there. So this part will print fine. There are no overhangs, no islands. There's a big flat surface to put in the build head. So my last step, I'm going to Control A, right click, modify, merge selected parts. Now all my parts are 1, and it's good to export. Select the part, right click, export, STL, Sometimes when you merge things, it makes a long name. You have to rename it something short. Right click, export as STL, same folder. And this setting down here matters if you import a native CAD file like a step or an IGES. If you import a mesh, it doesn't really matter. But if you do import the CAD file, set this at 0.001. Now it's done. And these ones are all pretty easy. So now it would just be a question of packing them. It's a question of how many parts you want of each one. I'm going to duplicate this only in Y and do 3. Bring this one down here. Do the same thing. And I'm going to add some more spacing just because it fits. And if I'm trying to pack them as densely as possible, I can either do a Netfabb packing algorithm, which I don't always trust, or just think about it manually a little bit. Now these ones, small parts, use all at the same time. Now this print will be good to go.